that it is with joy and with sadness that we gather here today. Joy because friendships that span generations are rekindled today, and so many have joined us in thanksgiving and in love for this place and for this fellowship. But it is also a time of sadness, because this is an ending of our relationship with this place. And while it will live on in the memory and in many a heart, it will never be the same again. And so I invite you to stand as we receive symbols of our life here together. As we gather together in worship, let us acknowledge with solemn joy God's gift of this place, remembering with gratitude all who have worshipped here, the faith professed at this font, the gospel proclaimed from the pulpit, the assurance received at this table, the walks of witness under the banner, and the lives of those whose names are recorded in this book and in our hearts. That which we have received from God, let us now return to God with thanksgiving and with praise, as we worship Him in song, singing together hymn number 104, Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven.
Praise
Life is a journey on many different roads.
And God is always with us.
The church is a people and a place, a family and a home.
And God is always with us.
Sometimes the way is easy, the sun is shining and our burdens light.
And God is with us.
Sometimes the way is hard, and we face loss and pain and an uncertain future.
And God is with us.
For nothing can separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus. God of the journey, who travels with us in the shadows, be very near to us today as we give thanks for this place, for the witness of generations, and for the people known to us with whom we have shared this place, giving and receiving love, care, and support, working and worshipping together to your glory.
Stand beside us, gentle Christ. Walk before us, great Jesus. Call us into life, Holy Spirit. Amen.
We'll sing again hymn number 345, Guide Me, O Thou Great Redeemer. In everything that we do today, it will be of sharing and of memories. And it would have been easy, very easy, to fill the entire service by giving each one of you 2 minutes on the microphone. But then that is what the refreshments are for, that the sharing can go on well into the late afternoon. However, There are two here today for whom this place has marked a beginning and an ending in a way. Because we have Paul Frampton here, who will come to speak to us of the beginning of his life here with George Lane. And Valerie is going to speak of the years of service that she has offered to this place in the most recent past. Paul, come speak to us.
Good afternoon. I've only got 2 minutes, so here we go. From Paul Frampton. Memories of George Lane, 1977 to 1982. Memories. Well, first of all, I was not going to be here. I was not going to be a minister, but God had other ideas. I was not going to get into college, but God had other ideas. I was due to go to a church in Wales, but God had other ideas. So here I am, having served at George Lane and Hatherlow as the first minister of the joint pastorate. Memories, how they come flooding back. Most are happy, some are sad. It was in this church that we had my mother's funeral service, because she died in the manse. Memories of all sorts. But coming as a young, single, newly ordained minister, I greatly appreciated the support and the help from everyone in what was a new chapter of church life for me and for the church here and of course the church at Hatherlow as a newly ordained minister. And the support I received from the elders and members, the leaders of all the organisations, was much appreciated. And learning how to lead a church, something I'd never done before. Learning how to deal with people of all different sorts. Learning from my mistakes, as well as the things that went well. But appreciating coming to this church, and to Hatherlow, but to this church, well run and well organised. Grateful for that, for the foundations laid for years of ministry. Things have happened during the course of my time. One of the first things, which was a bit traumatic as people will remember at the time, doesn't sound like it, but it was, setting up the new fabric committee, which once it got going, worked a treat, even though John Pickup got landed with the secretary's job for many years. Starting a vestry hour, a surgery hour, on Wednesday evenings, early on Wednesday evenings. So that although I lived just slightly over the hill at the manse, it meant that I was here in Woodley to be able to, for people to pop in if they wanted to see me and have a private chat. Working together with Hatherlow in that new joint pastorate. And one of the things we were able to do together was to enjoy the well-attended joint carol service at alternating churches. And I can remember occasions when, would you believe it, we filled each of the churches, downstairs anyway. I remember all the special services and anniversaries, too many to mention in the 2 minutes I've got. But the one that I recall to mind was perhaps one of the last ones before I was called to serve elsewhere, which was extracts from Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, led by the young people, and thanks to Susan Pickup, including dancing down the aisles, a great occasion. I remember all the social events, the walks of witness, Remembrance Sunday in the freezing cold at the cenotaph at the top of the road, sharing with other churches and ministers, a great part of my work, a great joy to work with other ministers and know their support. Working together, would you believe it, with Stockport Council, with the Voluntary Services Officer, as the early years of a new sort of Meals on Wheels for housebound people was set up in the area. And then in November 1981, receiving a call to the pastorate in South Cheshire, but not moving until February the following year. But in December 1981, my life changed dramatically. Not, you would expect, just simply through the productions of a pantomime. We've had pantomimes here over the years, many years before. Or of the hoedown which took place in that month. We've had social events like hoedowns here before. The difference was that Havelow people were sold tickets to sell, and I bought a ticket. And it so happened that Anne bought a ticket too, and the rest is history. Well, we were engaged on my last Sunday at the end of February 1982, and we were married in July. And you'll all be very pleased to know we're still married. But Anne and I will be forever grateful to the late Lynn Orman and to Janet Keyworth, me self, for not only selling us the tickets, but encouraging us to dance together. We've been dancing together ever since.
Good afternoon, Reverend Barley Davis. In 2014, I retired from full-time stipendiary ministry. In 2015, early in the year, Alan Goff rang me and asked me if I was free to come and take the service in April on the Easter Sunday. I said yes. I didn't know where George Lane was. I didn't know Stockport at all. And so Alan sent me directions, which were very good, from where I live in Timpley. And so I came to do the service. And afterwards, Alan asked me if I would like to come once a month and take the services here, which I was very pleased to do. And so the relationship began. At this time, the church was in vacancy. So the synod asked me if I would give pastoral oversight to George Lane until a minister came, which gave me the opportunity to visit people and get to know them in their own homes and then get to know me, something which I always enjoyed and still do. And so things developed, and then Alison came to be the minister. And George Lane, I know I have helped them a lot, but they also have helped me more than I can ever say, and more than you will ever know. And for that I am eternally grateful. When I visited people in their homes, they told me the history of the church and things that happened in the past, and the pantomimes which have been mentioned, and lots of other things too. And it's all part of getting to know a church and its people. And as Alison said, it is a sad day as well as a happy day. But I know that George Lane had a new spiritual home with the folk at Hatherlow, whom I have met, and so they can go on into the future. But thank you again for everything. Thank you.
And as you will imagine, there have been so many other folk, including Ruth Woolston, who was a minister here, and Tony Blythe, who has regularly taken services here, who record and remember the warmth, the joy of being here, the peace of this place. The first weddings that were taken, the parade services at Woodley. And I think that for all of them, You have left a mark on many a heart. So let us go back to your childhood and sing together, hear the pennies dropping, listen as they fall.
The first reading this afternoon comes from Psalm 46, verse 1 to 7 and 10 to 11. It is entitled, God is with us. God is our shelter and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. So we will not be afraid, even if the earth is shaken and mountains fall into the ocean depths. Even if the seas roar and rage and the hills are shaken by the violence, there is a river that brings joy to the city of God, to the sacred house of the Most High. God is in that city and it will never be destroyed. At early dawn, he will come to its aid. Nations are terrified, kingdoms are shaken, God thunders and the earth dissolves. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Stop fighting, he says, and know that I am God, supreme among the nations, supreme over the world. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Here ends the reading.
Our second reading is from Acts 22 to 29. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.' So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship, and this is what I am going to proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands, and he is not served by human hands, as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him. Though he is not far away from any one of us, for in him we live and move and have our being. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. Therefore, since we are God's offspring, we shouldn't think of God as an idol designed by craftsmen from gold or silver or stone. Here is the second reading.
How wonderful it is, as members of the family of God, to be at home in God's house, to find refuge and strength together, to build a family with Christ at the head of the household, a sign to the community that here there is love and care. Here there is a community of people who have found that the great God of the whole universe is very near and can indeed be a brother and a friend who walks with us on the journey of life. And yet, as Paul reminds us, important as the temple, the church building may be as a sign to the world, bricks and mortar can never be the dwelling place of God. As if we should come here to visit him once a week and then go on our way rejoicing. We build our churches, we look after them and beautify them, we pass them on to our children and our children's children because they are the family home, the place where family values are learned, the young nurtured and the old celebrated. But the dwelling place of God is in the heart of the people and goes with us wherever we go. Think for a moment of the people of Israel in their journeying through the wilderness, carrying the Ark of the Covenant where Moses alone could speak to God. Think of them in exile in Babylon, without the ark or the temple, suddenly discovering that God was not a God of place at all, but could be known, experienced, and worshipped even there in a foreign land. How much more is that true for us post-resurrection Christians, whose Lord has promised to be with us, even to the end of the age. So, for the current family of George Lane, the time has come to pull up the tent pegs, to leave this place of blessing, this oasis, and make our home with brothers and sisters up the road at Hatherlow, in Hatherlow and George Lane URC, knowing that we leave an imprint in the sand here. Maybe the church building will survive as a reminder to the community. Maybe it will exist only in our hearts and in the hearts of countless others whose families have been at home here over the years. Within God's eternal love, everything has its time. And our task is to be faithful in our time, knowing that wherever that leads us, God will be with us, a comfort in our pain and a waymarker for our journey.